Alright, what up people? It's your boy Chig from Guna Eagle Eye, coming to you again with another stream, and that is for specifically the members. So it's kind of a late night with Chig edition, where I talk about our manager, Mikel Arteta. Lots of new names for him recently, let me tell you. First and foremost, apologies for the belatedness of this stream. Lots and lots of various issues resulting from last night. It was even supposed to be 10 minutes early today, but I had to resolve other issues, quite frankly. So yeah, I won't be going too long. First and foremost, I'll be ending the stream at the very latest 11 p.m., which is 1 hour from now. So even more reason. My usual having 3, 4, 5 people on, that won't be happening in this particular stream. This for me is just about talking about, first and foremost, my feelings about Mikel Arteta, talking about where I stand with him, talking about if I'm Mikel Arteta out, as I notice that there are people that are, quite frankly, climbing over the parapet and flat out saying, and then Mikel Arteta out. What it will take for me to be Mikel Arteta out if I'm not, and what it will take for me to be Mikel Arteta in if I'm Mikel Arteta out. So we'll start off from there and just see where this evolves, and then I'll try and have a couple of you on that I don't really get to have on as per usual. So you members do make sure you let yourself known in the chat if you want to come on. I won't put it in the community post like I normally do, because that's what makes me get like 6 or 7 people on. But if I've not had you on, I might have an opportunity to just have a couple of you on and we'll have a very quick discussion. My next member stream, I'm going to try and have a guest on. That one I think will have a couple more people on, because when I have a guest, I notice people are more active. I know the guest I want to have on, but I haven't yet asked them, so I don't want to make too many promises before I have had a chance to ask them. In the meantime, as you guys are coming into the chat, you know what to do. Please do slap a like on this video. First and foremost, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Yes, I get it. Not everybody's able to talk in the chat room at the moment because this is a member stream. But it's the type of member stream that you lot can at least see, you listen to. If you want to participate in, just hit that join button. Hit that join button, become a member. You get loads of little opportunities, giveaways, competitions. I'm restarting my FIFA streams this weekend from all members. I'm also doing a couple of Chig Knows Best video series for gold members. And I'm also doing a cooking with Chig that I've decided to do. It's going to be a little bit different this weekend. So that one will be for gold members especially. So make sure you do join. It's definitely not going to be boring being a member, being a Guna Eagle Eye. So that's make sure you join that membership. All right, let's talk about Mikel Arteta. He's someone who is a big subject. So in my WhatsApp group, I belong to 6 groups. I have one for family. I have 3 football related ones, 1 MMA and boxing one. And what's the other one? Another one I barely use, and I don't know what it is. In my 3 football ones, he is a very keen, very keen, shall we say, subject matter. Loads of various different opinions, and it's always good to have various different opinions on a subject. Just because you might not necessarily agree with the people that you're discussing with does not mean that you shouldn't have different people in your groups. So that's what I like about having different opinions and seeing people with different opinions on the groups that you are with. And with Mikel Arteta, he is someone who, over the past couple of weeks, has really caused some divisions in some of the chat groups that I'm in. There's one in particular who you guys will know. I have a group with Claude, Kenny Ken, Lee, and a couple of others who you may be less familiar with. And I mean, it is very strong. Mikel Arteta are out in that group. I don't think they'll mind me sharing that with you. I've always had a very strong stance on Mikel Arteta, not because of the man himself. I've always been very, very consistent. The Mikel Arteta experiment, as I call it, for me has always been a flawed one, because it was based on the fact that Mikel Arteta had shown attributes in training while he was a captain of Arsenal that led to believe that he would be a good football manager. In addition to the idea that while he was working under Pep, he'd had an education that led people to believe even more that he would be a good manager. I find that weird. I find that whole concept quite weird, because I remember they said the same thing about Patrick Vieira, maybe 2 years earlier. Literally 2 years earlier, same clubs involved. I remember they were saying stuff like, that Patrick Vieira was showing displays that he would be a very good manager and a very tactically aware manager. I remember it was one of the expressions that they used. That he has a very calm but commanding demeanor that meant that he would be very suitable for management. I remember those expressions being used. Obviously, we know that Patrick Vieira then went on to work for Man City. First of all, he went on to play for them, but the real ploy was he wanted to educate himself more. And from a Man City's point of view, they had some projects that he would be ideal for. So almost in a kind of a Per Mertesacker sort of education, I think he managed initially their youth setup. Then because they have a big affiliation with New York FC, that then suddenly graduated to him becoming a manager of New York FC, which I think he did for a number of months. He left New York FC of his own fruition, and then he went to sort out his current role for Nice, and has been managing Nice ever since. For all intents and purposes, Nice is like a Burnley, in that they're never going to trouble anyone, in terms of achieving anything. But actually, he does more or less pretty well with them. The same way they praise the prison officer whenever he hovers around 10th with Burnley, that's pretty much what happens with Nice in the French league. See, they're just one of those sort of teams. And so by all intents and purposes, he's someone who has always been earmarked as potentially an Arsenal manager. Obviously, we know that Thierry Henry is almost the dream choice for a lot of people. An absolute bona fide Arsenal legend, someone who, for a period of time at least, people liked on Sky. I know people will find that unbelievable now. There was a period of time where, because he's clearly someone who's very charismatic, and someone who I think people initially at least did enjoy. I remember the only person I remember who did not like him from the get-go on Sky was one of my mates, Jay. He couldn't stand him on Sky. Could not stand him on Sky. I know lots of people who don't like former Arsenal players as pundits, generally. And he was one of them that said, no, he hated him from the get-go. But generally, there were people who gave him a lot of credit and thought maybe he might be able to do something. I must admit, I love Thierry Henry, of course. Man's a legend. Never bought him as an Arsenal manager. No, I can't see it. Having said that, do you know what? And this is me just being real with you. If there was a choice between him and Mikel Arteta, why not? At least with him, I could see the thought process better, in that he is, someone who whenever somebody mentions joining Arsenal, 9 times out of 10 they mention his name as the reason why he joined. So from that perspective, he's someone who at least people could have said that yeah, well, he's the reason that I joined. He's the person that I was very interested in. Obviously, I watched Thierry Henry growing up, yada, yada, yada. So he would go in there. And that seems to be the battle being an Arsenal manager. What we've come to realize is, if you're going to go and manage Arsenal, you better command them players. That seems to be half the battle. Clearly it was with Emery. I'm starting to think that's part of the problem with Mikel Arteta. And I think any future Arsenal manager is going to have to be a strong enough character to be able to manage those players, manage the personalities, manage the ego, but more than all of that, command their respect. And I think, I could understand that would not be the way I would go. Don't get me wrong, I would not hire Thierry Henry. But I understand that decision better than the one the club actually made. So then, obviously, rewinding all the way back to 2017, and it is worth going all the way back to 2017. I remember when Mikel Arteta was more or less set to get this role. And in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, are we really going from Arsene Wenger? Forget for a second the problems this man had in his last 10 years as manager, right? We're really going from Arsene Wenger with all the experience in the world, to someone who's literally the opposite, who has no experience, but essentially smiled at the right person and said the right thing in front of the right person. Are we really doing that? That was one of the questions I asked. Then I said, so are you telling me that even if you wanted to go down the Arsenal legend route, you want to ignore the person that has managerial experience versus the person that said something in front of the right person on the right day? Then I said to myself, all right, forget experience even. You want to go for the geezer that's won an FA Cup for at best as Arsenal captain, versus the guy that's won how many Premier League titles and been an inspirational figure for Arsenal, who's also been an Arsenal captain. However I matched it up, Mikel Arteta did not come out well. However you mash it up. And then when Emery came in, I'll be honest, I didn't even fucking think about it. I was like, yes, just get him. Please, just get him. He's a manager. Get him. So we got him. And it started off well, but we weren't impressive. We weren't reassuring. The problem that I think people seem to realize is we ain't been assuring or impressive for about 5 years now. When was the last time Arsenal went through a 10 to 15 game run where you were like, yeah, they got this? It don't happen. It don't happen. Much to people's dismay and disbelief, it hasn't happened out under Mikel Arteta. Some people romanticize the 22 unbeaten run with Emery. I'll be real with you. I will look at it objectively. It didn't happen under Unai Emery. The last time it happened was probably Arsenal under Wenger. Ironically, under a lot worse players than we have right now. But Arsenal, we haven't been impressive for a long time because, in my personal opinion, there are some deep-rooted problems that are there. For me, bottom line is recruitment. I think recruitment has always been our number one problem. But it's not the number one problem that I think you think, or the number one problem that we will discuss, or that you think that I'm going to think it is. The recruitment problem that I think is there is we are terrible at buying players. It's not necessarily the decision to buy players. That's why I think people get twisted a lot, and I think it's only over the last 12 months that people realize, shit, actually, I also spend money, Like, they spend money. They just don't spend it well. They don't spend it well. They make stupid decisions. Look at Squadron Mustafi as a very good example of what I'm talking about. Squadron Mustafi is a guy that, for some unusual reason, and I remember in 2016, I think I even did a video about it. It was one of my early videos. That was a story that came from nowhere. Because I remember at the time we were looking for all kinds of defenders at the time. We were looking at La Liga, but we weren't really looking at Mustafi. I remember we were looking at somebody else in La Liga. And then in the space of about 10 days, we went from being interested in this random geezer called Squadron Mustafi to signing him. And I remember when the Squadron Mustafi story came up, this was the time when, I think it must have been 6 months after Gary Neville got sacked from Valencia. If everyone remembers, when Gary Neville became Valencia coach, and Valencia just kept getting whacked up every single week. And I think it was towards the end, it was either his last game or penultimate game where I think Valencia got ran over. I think it was like 5-0 or 4-1 or something like that. And then he left, and I don't think they replaced him with Moyes. I think they replaced him with someone else. And they managed to stabilize Valencia for a second. And I remember thinking to myself, hold on, so we're getting that geezer. The geezer that played in that team. But then I thought to myself, all right, well, maybe is it fair to blame one person if the whole team gets whacked up? But it never sat well with me. It never sat well with me. And I remember when people, as always, when things are going right, you just watch AFTV around that time, people were getting gassed about Mustafi. Gassed. This is why, for me, I'm not a trigger-happy guy. You will never see me one way or another say, sack him after 2 seconds. Or you'll never hear me say, oh, that guy's amazing after 2 seconds. A good example is Gabriel. I think he's, on a DLO, I think he's amazing. But I'm going to advertise that too tough in case he flops in the next few weeks. I need to continue seeing how he progresses. But honestly, at the moment, I'm very impressed with him. With Mustafi, I never saw anything that made me think to myself, like, for example, I am much more impressed with the impacts that Gabriel's had, because Gabriel, to me, looks like a leader of a defense. Mustafi looks like a headless chicken. I always thought that. Even when during the 20... Look at any review I did at that time. You will barely hear me talk about Mustafi. Because I never got what people were talking about. Mustafi, eh? They're two headless chickens in the defense. But I kind of thought to myself, all right, cool, well, let's just see how it develops. And then we know how it developed. Because Chig knows defenders. I don't just say it. For me, I could see if you have that potential or not. He never impressed me. Never impressed me. And then you started hearing stories, which is a story, I mean, that's an article I can bring up pretty easily, where Arsenal, ever since they signed Mustafi in 2016, were actively trying to sell him. Because they realized that, oh shit, they made a terrible mistake. Mind you, Mustafi didn't have the worst season last year. But we're talking about a geezer where Mustafi's not bad season is him not fucking up, i.e. giving the ball away, i.e. doing a stray pass, i.e. doing what David Luiz and Squadron Mustafi and Granit Xhaka, all three of them are very capable of, which is giving the ball away and it leading to a goal. That was the strength of Mustafi's season last year. And then suddenly, all of a fucking sudden, I'm seeing stories like this. And it makes me wonder, does this guy know what he's talking about? Does this guy know what he's doing? Like, surely, this story's got to be nonsense. Surely, after hearing for years that we've been trying to shift him, we've been trying to get rid of him, we've been trying to look for takers for him, that this headline is some nonsense. Not to mention, the motherfucker rejected it. He thought, nah, bruh, I'm out. Are we at that stage where not only are we offering Squadron Mustafi a new contract, this motherfucker's the cheek to reject it? Are we at that stage now? But that's where we are. Apparently, that's what we're doing. That's the moves we're making. According to Football London's Chris Wheatley, Squadron Mustafi turned down a contract extension and intends to leave Arsenal on a free next summer. Told he was surplus to requirements by Unai Emery, because this is a manager who knew the motherfucker was not good enough. Told he was surplus to requirements by Unai Emery. The German failed to secure a suitable move in the summer of 2019 and opted to see how things would play out at the Emirates. Despite a long stint on the sidelines, biding his time worked in his favor. Despite a long stint biding on the sidelines, biding his time worked out in his favor. With Emery out of the picture, Arteta made a personal mission to rehabilitate Mustafi. Let me stop there for a second. Brings me to my next problem with Mikel Arteta. He would prefer to rehabilitate the person that has been established is not good enough to a young player like William Saliba. Yeah, the William Saliba that we signed and was told was, what was he, the next Mbappe of defenders? That was an actual description from someone. That he was going to be a sure thing, a surefire thing. Someone that was going to instantly improve our defense. And that would be the future of our defense. For some unusual reason, for some weird reason, Mikel Arteta has decided seemingly, that William Saliba is not good enough. That William Saliba actually has no place in the Arsenal side. So much so that the intention was to loan him. Then they didn't loan him. Then they took him out of the Europa League squad because presumably they thought they'd loan him. Then they haven't been able to register him. So that looks embarrassing in itself. And we've not had a peep from this geezer until the only time we see his name is in the under-23s. And in my mind, I'm sat there thinking, so let me get this straight, Arteta. In the space of a summer, you've offered David Luiz and Squadron Mustafi new deals. Just really take a step back and think about that. You've offered David Luiz, 34-year-old David Luiz, 29-year-old Squadron Mustafi. We know how calamitous both of these geezers are. You offered them geezers the new contracts. But the guy that is supposed to show this potential, this hope, that he's supposed to be a decent enough defender, that's the geezer you say ain't good enough. Now I know the bar. The bar will be, oh, okay, well, Chig, let's be real here. You don't know what they're showing in training. Let me tell you something. I am much more. I've said this before and I'll say this again. I do not rate Joe Willock. I don't think he's got it. I think actually he's regressed over the last 12 months, which in itself hammers home the point I'm about to make. Right? I think he's actually regressed as a player in the last 12 months. From what I was hoping for Joe Willock, for me, he's gone backwards in the last 12 months. Right? Having said that, I would much rather give Joe fucking Willock a chance to improve than a Mohamed El fucking Nene. I don't care how supposedly decent Mohamed El Nene has been over the last couple of games. And before somebody makes that stupid point, then okay, because Mohamed El Nene played decent in a NK Dons. So did William Saliba. So where the fuck is he? That's the other thing I don't understand. When you take that game on its own merits, Mohamed El Nene, who was 1 foot out the door, my man's begging to stay. The man who we spent 30 million on, had to wait another season for, that's the geezer when Mikel Arteta was like, nah, you ain't good enough. Mind you, he was probably, next to El Nene, the best player on the pitch. But that's the geezer that Arteta was like, nah. How bad could he be in training? I mean, for real. And then just to hammer home on fucking embarrassment even more. We were promised a superstar in Saliba, right? That's the geezer that we were told was the guy. Right? Leicester paid even more in order to try and recreate the same situation. And in my mind, I've not seen Fofana play really up until the point that Leicester got him. Right? They paid 15 million more to try and recreate what we were doing. In my mind, I'm like, you lot, really? They must be laughing. But then again, it doesn't surprise me because Brendan Rodgers is much more prepared to take the gamble on a young player, to develop a young player, to see what that young player has got, push that young player, find out where you are with that young player. We all had fucking dreams of a defense that had William Saliba and Gabriel in the heart of that defense. Because for me, the irony is their attributes, I think, would be perfect together. But for some stupid reason, Mikel Arteta can't seem to let this fantasy go of David fucking Luiz and Squadron Mustafi. Not to mention you still got people in the way, like Rob fucking Holding. Listen, I like him, but Callum Chambers as well. Don't get me wrong, it's still in the background. Because Mikel Arteta, of course, is going to want to look at them. He's going to want to have an assessment of them. He's going to want to, what was the way the article described it? He's going to want to rehabilitate him. Wants to find a regular partner for David Luiz. David Luiz? You mean the geezer that has signed year deals? That's the guy you should be phasing out. Not building the team around. I don't care if he's played okay. This is the other stupid thing people are going to tell me. Oh, David Luiz has played okay. That's not the point. Do you know what? Even before David Luiz got injured most recently, I remember saying to Lee, this is the geezer. You shouldn't be playing every Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday. He's 34 years old. At some point, he's going to get injured. Lo and behold, what happened? That's the guy you should be phasing out. The people that you should be looking to build a team around is Saliba. And that's the other thing I said. I said, you know what? I could even be prepared to take it if Saliba didn't start the season. But he's got to finish the season. At this rate, I'm not even convinced he'll be back in the squad. Back in the registered squad. He can't develop young players. He can't. That's why I always thought to myself, when Saka started running his mouth about Emery and the fact that he doesn't communicate with him, in my mind, I'm like, bruh, you played a lot better under Emery. Under Emery and Ljungberg, you played a lot better. You know, I love Saka, but let's be fucking honest here. Let's just really be honest here. I love Saka. I think he's going to be the next shit. Let's be real here. The majority of his work, where he had the assists and the goals, he went under no fucking Mikel Arteta. It was under Emery. And I thought, in my mind, I thought to myself, bruh, you're going to regret them words. You're going to regret them words. Because clearly, at least the boy had the belief to play you in your correct position. Not left wing back. He played you where you can do damage. Gave you the attacking impetus to do damage. So, in my mind, I've kind of come to the conclusion that we have so many, so young players in the team. You know, whether it's a Reece, a Joe, a Bakayo, Gabriel Martinelli going to be the next one that everyone is shitting themselves about. I am. I don't know what's gonna. The Martinelli one is the one that does scare me, because that's another one that is a potential superstar that will be stifled because Mikel Arteta would rather Eddie running like a headless fucking chicken around the court. Listen, don't get it twisted. Yes, I've done a stupid bet with Lee, and on hindsight, it was a very stupid bet. But for some reason, he would rather see Eddie run than actually score fucking goals. So yeah, I am shitting myself that Mikel Arteta would rather see my man run than actually create goals and score goals. Keeping in mind what he's doing with our other goal scorer. So they're playing him down the fucking middle. He's insisting playing him on the left. And I get it. I get it. There is a theoretical belief that because Aubameyang doesn't get himself involved enough in the game, to involve him in the game, you have to play him on the left-hand side. It is something that even at Dortmund, he had problems with. You know, very rarely at Dortmund did he play centrally straight down the middle. But the thing that I would just beg Arteta to think about is this. Aubameyang is 32, what is he, 31, 32 years old? the older you get, the less of that running shit you can be bothered to do. You know, you see the way Leicester are managing Vardy? It's the way we need to be looking, especially over the next 18 months, to manage Aubameyang. Bear in mind, you fucking got his replacement there in Martinelli. You got it right there. Manage it. Use Martinelli. That's the next one I'm shitting myself about. But maybe there's a possibility that he doesn't completely fuck that up. Because he seems to, with Bukayo Saka, maybe he doesn't play him in exactly the right spot, but at least the talent is so undeniable, you have to play him. Just think about it. If you think I'm exaggerating, if you think I'm talking shit, be honest with yourself. If it's a young player or an established player, who is he likely to have picked? Yeah, I could give you every single case. Ainsley Maitland-Niles. We know he's better. I've told you motherfuckers from day one, Cedric is nothing. He is nothing. You're not getting gassed because he can cross the ball. I said to you, he's nothing. I still tell you, he's nothing. And Ainsley Maitland-Niles is better than him all day long. My man would completely ignore him for that position. Begged him to stay at the club instead of going to further his career at Wolves. Stay at the club for what? So that you can awkwardly play him left wing back. Doesn't know what to do with it. He does not know what to do with Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Oh, let me guess, is he 23 years old? At this point, I judge Ainsley Maitland-Niles more for staying. You know, as much as I wanted him desperately to stay, you are 23, fam. This is the point in your career where you kick on. Don't get stifled by some confused, inexperienced geezer. You got the Saliba one, which is well documented. The Saka one I talked about. Maybe he makes it for the simple reason that the talent is undeniable. And that Saka, much to his dismay, bless him, will play anywhere that Mikel Arteta tells him to play. He goes along with it. The biggest victim out of all of this, what the fuck happened to his experiment of Reece Nelson? What happened to that? Don't get me wrong, that's another one I don't particularly rate. So that one I don't rate. I thought was going to turn into something, then hasn't. Then the last time I saw Reece Nelson under Mikel Arteta, he scored and has never made it back on the bench since. What happened? What did he do? No one talks about that. Notice that. No one really talks about that. The Guendouzi situation. Listen, whether you rate Guendouzi or not, you got to admit, I don't really think he did anything that bad. I'll be real with you. Yeah, don't get me wrong. We don't like to see people bragging and shit about pay. It don't look good. It don't look good. But I'll say it again. I never ever thought he did anything that bad. It's like Mikel Arteta thought, you know what? I will use this as a way to stamp my authority and show that I will not tolerate bullshit. But to me, this was the wrong battle to deal with. You know what? For me, you know the perfect way he could have dealt with that. You should have said to him, you know what? I'm not happy that you won't apologize. I think the whole beef was that you wouldn't apologize. You've obviously been in trouble before. I am starting to be worried about your thing, you know, and worried about your temperament. I don't know what your issue is, You need to understand the importance of humility and what you did wrong. So here's what I'm going to do. For a couple of games, I'm going to drop you in the under 23s. Doesn't mean that I think you're at that level. But what it means is that I want you to work your way back. And then I would personally work with him every single day to manage that situation so that he's back in the squad, back in the team within 6 games. So that you can clearly see that you care about him and that you give a damn about his Arsenal career. But at the same time, you know, he's learning that lesson. Because it's clear to me that Guendouzi needs to learn a certain lesson, of course. To me, that's the way you do it. It's another one who, for me, I don't know how he comes back. But people want these. People are too scared to say these sort of things because, you know, this is why I credit my brother Kenny Ken so much. And every opportunity I have to say it, I say it. Kenny Ken, right? Let me remove this shit off the screen for a sec, so you can see my ugly mug. Kenny Ken, back in 2017, said one thing. I think he said it on the show. He goes to me, he never wants to see an Arsenal legend coaching at this club. Coaching, being part of the setup, anything. I'm like, why wouldn't you want that kind of Arsenal mentality? Like, why wouldn't you want to remind some of these players, you know, what it is to be an Arsenal man? Right? This is in 2017, Henry Kent said this. He goes to me, if you bring someone who's an Arsenal player and make them into an Arsenal manager, let's say the example you used was Thierry Henry at the time, you will face this exact Arsene Wenger situation. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, because now people are not looking at it objectively, like they did, funnily enough, with Unai Emery. Now they're looking at it through Arsenal tinted glasses. Well, he's an Arsenal man, so he knows what he's doing. And even someone who's had very limited success with Arsenal, like Mikel Arteta, you're seeing some of these so-called super fans talking about, oh, you don't know what you're doing if you're not backing Mikel Arteta. No, motherfucker. Here's the thing. I can see. And just because I scrutinize doesn't mean one thing or another. It means I'm scrutinizing that thing. If I criticize that thing, it doesn't mean one thing or another. It means I'm criticizing that thing. It's my opinion. My opinion doesn't affect your opinion. And it's funny because if this guy wasn't an Arsenal man, would you still have your opinion? And this is the thing that I think people still haven't woken up to, but are gradually getting there. Because they understand now, they can't blame what's happening this season on Unai Emery like they could towards the back end of last season. What is there, 6 games gone and we're 10th? 10th. That's more Mikel Arteta. That's none of Unai Emery. So it does make me wonder, who are those people going to blame? For me, I said at the very start of this whole thing, and I'm very conscious of the fact that I'm running out of time now, but I said at the start of this whole thing that you guys will learn who I'm for and who I'm against. What am I Arteta out or am I Arteta in? For me, I've always said to you, I'm Arsenal in. For me to be Mikel Arteta in, He has to prove something to me. Prove to me that he is, first and foremost, qualified for the role. Right? So someone argue, what, did winning an FA Cup not do that? Winning an FA Cup was a great achievement with his limited experience in the short space of time that he did. And I gave him that credit. So great, absolutely winning any kind of trophy in that time, in the time that he did, should be congratulated and celebrated. Full stop. Winning an FA Cup last season doesn't mean that you should be on borrowed time this season. That you should be on spare time, I should say, this season. Because what does last season have to do with this? Because the last time I checked, we're still, yes, we're in the Europa League. Is anyone confident? Based on our last game? What does last season have to do with this season? For me, what I'd like to see is the club move, and I know we'll never see this, in a ruthless manner, whereby if it's possible to salvage this season and reach a goal of the Champions League, and we can see early that it's not going to happen with Mikel Arteta, we should absolutely take that opportunity. I know that won't happen. But for me, I'm getting to that point where I would pull the trigger. So am I Mikel Arteta out? Almost. Almost. And I don't think you should be shitted on if that's your opinion. I feel like I've demonstrated enough during this video of why I could easily be. The only reason I say almost is because for me, I'm not influenced by anybody but me. And my whole thought process is very simple. I have never been trigger happy one way or another. But the one thing I want to appeal to people before I start to look into the chat room and bring a couple of people on, and it will be a couple because I'm not going on for very long, right? The one thing I would appeal to people is stop shitting on motherfuckers because they have an opinion on Mikel Arteta. I think it's valid at this point in time. I mean, it's valid to start asking questions about Mikel Arteta, and him being an Arsenal man shouldn't distract or take away from that. Go with what you think. Stop going with what these so-called super fans think. Heck, don't go with necessarily what I think. I'm just giving you some general advice. Go with what you think. Have your own opinion. Like, if you really believe Mikel Arteta's that guy, bless you. Power to you. No problem. But for me, I think there is enough there. Not only to I'm past the point of casting huge doubts. I am now asking some serious fucking questions. I'll be real. I'm 2 or 3 bad results away from saying, all right, I'm done. I'm done. And nothing, by the way, would please me more. If you're sat there thinking, oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait until Mikel Arteta turns it around and I come here and I start reminding these lot of like clips and putting clips together and shit like that. Shit. Give away, motherfuckers. I'll be all for it. Because that means Arsenal being successful. See, this is the problem. When people do that kind of stuff to me, right? Do you think I'm unhappy? I had that for when Arsenal won the FA Cup. And because I dared to doubt a tactic of Mikel Arteta's that eventually worked against Chelsea, somebody felt the need to tweet me something and say, oh, you were saying, Chig? And in my mind, I'm sat there thinking, do you think I'm happy? Do you think I'm embarrassed because you've done that? Because that's not the case. I'm sorry to tell you, that ain't the case. One of my most watched videos of the last 6 months was Arsenal winning the FA Cup. And do you know why? Because I was grinning teeth all night long. All night long. Because that's what I want at the end of the day. I don't want to be bitching about this. I don't want to be bitching about the fact that we have an inexperienced manager that doesn't play young players. I don't want to be bitching about this. I want to be bitching about the fact that there's a Man United game coming up and we're going to have it. We're going to have them. Instead of worrying that shit, there's a Man United game coming up. They've just won 5-0. How the heck are we going to compete with that? That's just my personal opinion. But it should not distract from yours. So to answer my question, do I think that Mikel Arteta is an inexperienced version of Unai Emery? No, I don't. Unfortunately, I think he might be worse. Anyway, I'm going to come into the chat room and see what you lot are saying. Please do slap a like on this video if you liked it. We're going to try and find a couple of people to come on and see what you lot are saying first and foremost. I see Buster active, Carter active, Saya active. Can we do literally a couple of you guys? Just a couple. Just because I don't want to go back and forth for too long. I did say I'll finish at 11. We're headed towards 11 very quickly. So yeah, DJ Crane, do you want to come on? Ben, do you want to come on? Let me know. In the meantime, while these lot decide what they're doing, I'm going to be doing my Man United Arsenal preview. I'm hoping on Saturday. It'll be Friday or Saturday. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be with Will, Ola, myself, and I'm hoping Stel. I've got to approach Stel about it. Yeah, obviously, Stel is a United fan. For those of you who don't know, Will, who I do the combat show with, he is a United fan. It would technically be his Guna Eagle Eye debut. So I'll be doing a preview with him. And then obviously me and Ola will be repping the Arsenal fans. So that should be fun. So make sure you don't miss that whenever it is advertised. All right. All right, guys. Anyone want to come on? Let me know. Please do slap a like on the video. Also, just to let you guys know, that people that keep asking, I have done a number of videos for Chick Flicks. For some unusual reason, it wasn't uploading onto the channel. So as a result, I have like 12 reviews for Chick Flicks. So have a look out over the weekend for Chick Flicks. And yes, we will get going at that point. All right, guys, I'm not going to be around forever, so I'm going to literally bounce if no one is around. But yeah, just let me know what you think. I'll give you a couple more minutes just to see if anyone does come on. But I'm literally going to be out in like a couple of minutes. I want to see if there's any other stories in the meantime while these lot decide what they're doing. Just bear with me. Oh yes, I wanted to read this story, Flip, just to make my point about Mikel Arteta. So let me share this with you lot. Found this hilarious because this was his new signing that is already admitting frustrations with Mikel Arteta's tactics. So Arsenal new signing Willian admits there are some frustrating elements to playing under Mikel Arteta, but says the experience is proving to be a steep learning curve. The Brazilian forward swapped life for Stamford Bridge to move across London in the summer on a free, and is already featuring regularly for Arteta's side. His manager's approach is a far cry from what Willian has been used to previously, as Arteta has adopted the tactically disciplined positional game approach of his former Man City superior Pep Guardiola. But while Arteta's style has provided some new challenges for the 32-year-old, Willian admits he's relishing working with the Spaniard. It's been a cool experience. I hadn't worked with a coach with that mindset. The positional game doesn't mean that you have no freedom on the pitch. You have freedom to move, but many times to respect the position with what the coach asks, the instructions, and the understanding that it would be better for the team. It may happen that you don't touch the ball and get frustrated, but Mikel Arteta always says that wait a minute, the ball will arrive, and I've been learning that a lot. So this is coming from a new guy. I mean, obviously, he obviously has to play the game a little bit. Clearly, the fact that he's playing, at the end of the day, he's happy with the fact that he's playing. But the fact that he is finding it very difficult to adapt his own game to whatever position or see. See, here's the thing. I don't mind necessarily using your own philosophy in that. But I feel like with Arsenal, it needs to be a baby step thing because clearly it ain't working for us. Like, it's not working. It ain't working. You can't look at our position in the league, say we're 10th, and then tell me it's working. I just prefer us to have this free-flowing, fluid football. This positional stuff, for me, yes, it works at Man City because you have the players for it. We don't have the players for it. I don't know. I find that to be an interesting story, but it is what it is. We need to have facility formations. Arteta said, oh, yeah, it's coming after the defeat. So, yeah, I find that to be interesting. Marbles and Saya. All right, cool. Saya, Marbles and Saya, I'll holler at you guys on Twitter, yeah? Bear with me. So, hold on, guys. I will just get these guys on. In the meantime, please do slap a like on the video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Guys, just to let you know, by the way, when I do have you on, it won't be for long. It will not be for long. Considering I'm going to be out of here in 3 minutes because I'm already bending my rules. Right. Here we go. So I've got Marbles on. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I'll find you on Insta then. No problem. I'll just send you a message. All right. So that's you sorted Marbles and Insta. Bear with me, guys. Just to let you also know, for my next member stream, I have to ask him because I'll tell you what, that the man does a ridiculous amount of shows now. But I'm going to try and see if I can get Claude on for my next member stream. So do keep that in mind, guys. And try and get Claude on next week for my next member stream. See the things I do for you? See how that's for you lot? Then he might be able to give you some insider information on the things that we discussed in our group chat. Saya, you need to hit me on Instagram, man. I can't find you. Quick things, my brother. Quick things. So we'll do that. Bring you some new stuff. Also, I've got some new ideas in the pipeline. I'm thinking about as well that I want to see if it works first before doing it with you guys. So and I'm bringing my FIFA streams back because people keep asking me to bring it back. I've still not got FIFA 21 yet. So I'm wanting FIFA 21 under the 5, but I'll think about how that works. Anyway, in the meantime, I see marbles here, so let's roll. Hello, marbles. Good.
Yeah, I'm good. You can hear me.
Yeah, I can. It's a bit faint, but I can hear you. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm okay. I had a lot to say today with regards to the Mikel Arteta situation because it's something that I've kept since the weekend, but I wanted to discuss it with the members and stuff. What's your feeling on the whole situation?
The thing is that when he first came, I didn't want him. I thought he was way too inexperienced, and the thing is, even if we were good, I still wouldn't have wanted him. I still thought we should have got someone with some like kind of pedigree. My choice at the time when Emery left was Benitez. Even if we couldn't get him at the time from China, just put Freddie Ljungberg in until the end of the season, and then try and see if he'll join in. Say, obviously COVID, we didn't know COVID was happening, but whatever, we could have maybe done a deal to get him, like say, in the summer this year. But Arteta came, and I was happy with, well, not happy, but I was content that, all right, that's what the Kroenke wants, so we have to live with it. Like there was the game, I think with Chelsea at home. I think we lost, but only because of Bert Leno mistake. But I was impressed with like the work rate and the defensiveness of the team. Then there was United at home. We beat them 2-0. I think Pepe scored one. I was thinking, well, maybe this geezer literally in his first few games is onto something. And then obviously lockdown happened. Well, obviously he got sick himself and he got better, which is good, obviously. But lockdown happened, and basically I think we finished 8th, but he did the best he could really with the squad. And he beat City in the semi-final and Chelsea in the final. So in his first ever job, to do all that is like you have to like, just as you said before, you have to congratulate the man for everything he did then. But even still, this season, especially in the Man City game, and I think against Leicester and a few other games too, his game management has not been that good. The City game really, City were not 100%, but whether he didn't want to show up his old, brethren Pep or something, or he just didn't add anything in the second half. And the Leicester game, okay, you could say Rodgers had a game plan, and he probably did. But even still, I think he played into it because the second half performance, we just lost some like zip. But I don't know. I think I would sub Arteta out, but I do think he does need to drastically improve his game management, because if he comes unstuck, then it could turn pretty sour against him. You see some people in the media and pundits say that we've had a bad start to the season. Have we? Well, I think we have to give ourselves a bit of credit, because we lost. Okay, Leicester. We lost to Leicester. Leicester are not a shit team. Certainly not. Jamie Vardy is one of the best strikers in the league. I don't see who can disagree with that. Look, he won the Golden Boot. So, and obviously, since Leicester won the league, he's been averaging 20 goals a season. We lost to Liverpool away, the champions. Lost to City away, obviously the champions the season before last. Season before last. And obviously, Pep's arguably the best manager in the world. They still got some world-class players like Aguero, Sterling, De Bruyne, certainly. So, and we beat Liverpool in the League Cup. We're playing City in the League Cup again. Who knows? That could be the time we actually beat City. Who knows? And Europa League, yeah, we beat Rapid Vienna. Hopefully, we should beat Dundalk. So, on that basis, I don't think we're doing as badly as some make out. But I do think Arteta, I'm all right with him at the moment. But if he does not change how he manages games, he needs to be a bit proactive and a bit more well. Actually, what I'm about to say wouldn't make sense, so I'll restate it. I'm going to say proactive and reactive, but that doesn't make sense. I'll restate that. He needs to be a bit more attentive, is probably the better word to use. So if he sees a game going in a certain direction, he needs to stop and make the change right then, not just wait to the 70th minute or 80th minute or some crap like that. Because why did he bring on Partey after 80 minutes when there's just 10 minutes just to make it do something? That doesn't make sense to me. And also some of his lineup choices have been a bit dodgy. Lacazette still is our top scorer. Why did he drop him? Makes no sense. Pepe's our record signing. For me, for that reason alone, he should start every game. Well, not necessarily Europa League or even League Cup, but definitely Premier League. Because if Pepe flops, maybe the reason, well, obviously that's an if. I don't want him to, but if he does, I think the fact that we've been inconsistent with playing him and not playing him to his strengths will be a major factor if he does flop. So, well, I suppose to sum up, and I obviously you're short on time, so I'll stop now to let Sight talk. But
Sorry.
I'm Arteta in, more or less. But if he does not improve his game management, then maybe my view on him will change, and I think the views of most fans, probably even the ultra positive ones, will probably change too.
Okay. I think to be honest, I think that's a reasonable take on what you're saying. It sounds like you're not quite there yet, but you can understand why people might be there or might be closer than they were before. Which I think is pretty reasonable. Nippon, I see you in the chat. I'm literally having a couple of people on only because I don't have a lot of time. But next time I'll make sure I have you on because I know you've only been on once with me. So apologies for that. This won't go on for very long. That's why. Mr. Sight.
Yes, my brother.
You always have strong opinions in these type of situations.
I do. I definitely do.
Are you closer to being Arteta out? Like I say, I'm not there yet, but I'm much closer than a lot of people I think I am.
For me, I was never Arteta in from the beginning.
Yeah, that's the other thing, yeah.
I didn't want him. I didn't see what he could bring that would take Arsenal to where we need to be. I still don't understand, if you look at his profile, how he got the job for such a big club like Arsenal are. And the fact is, even, if you look when Zidane got Real's job and when Pep Guardiola got Real's job, they had done something with the under 23s. They have actually managed youths and they had world-class players. I mean, when you look when Pep took over Barcelona, they arguably had the best squad in the world. And when Zidane took over Real Madrid, they had the best squad in the world. I mean, obviously, it's easier to manage a team when you have world-class players on every position. So you have to actually leave some on the bench. And that's not the case for Arsenal. And to be honest, the first time when I started to get worried about Mikel Arteta was our 2-1 loss against Chelsea last year at the Emirates. If you remember right, like the first 30, 35 minutes, we were battering Chelsea. Like we played really good, and you can see the players, they were hungry, they were running, you know. But then Lampard made a tactical change, and he brought on Jorginho. I don't remember who he brought off. I think it was Hudson-Odoi, but I'm not 100% sure. And when he made that change, the whole game changed. And Arteta didn't have any response to that. And I was like, okay, maybe it's his second game. Maybe that's why. But I've seen that team. I've seen that with Arteta for too many games for it to be a coincidence. Whenever a manager figure out his tactics, he doesn't have any response to it.
Yes.
And I think that's worrying.
And it's more than that. It's the fact that he start, like most of us can predict his team. Even if he doesn't know his team, we could predict it. We can predict the way he'll play, the way he'll approach it, depending on the opponent. If we as fans that don't know shit, that don't have the FIFA,
I know. We don't have the data analysts, we don't have the video analysts, you know, we don't have the statistics, all that bullshit that the other managers have. Obviously, that's why so many teams love to play against Arsenal now. And one thing that worries me with Arteta is because he thinks so highly of himself, and because he's an intelligent man, I can't take that from him. But football is not chess. I mean, you can't just because you put, exactly like William said, just because you put players in a certain position and tell them to do this, do that, don't do that, that doesn't mean that the opposition won't counter towards that. These are real human beings. These are players. You have to give them freedom. You have to let them be creative. You have to let them follow their instinct on the football field. Otherwise, it gets predictable. Like all these long balls on Aubameyang, the teams have found it out. That's why he's not scoring goals anymore, because that's the only way we were attacking. We just attack through the wings. We don't attack at all in the central field of the mill. When was the last time you saw a central midfielder for Arsenal make a 40, 50 meter long run into the opposition box? I mean, we don't do that. So how it's so easy for the team to defend against us? It's too easy. I mean, for me, I don't want to be. For me, it's not even the fact that. For me, it's not that I want Arteta out. For me, everybody who was involved in hiring Arteta, I blame them. They need to go. All the board members, for me, they need to go. They have been there too long. There's no winning mentality around Arsenal. You don't feel that aura, that hunger that the team wants to win. They want to get back to the Champions League. People talk about top four. I've seen us get top four 15 years in a row. I don't care about top four anymore. I want to win league titles. I want to see us lift the Champions League. And I also want to see us lift the Europa League. I want to see us win titles. All this. And for me, we're not moving in a direction where I feel like, oh, in 2, 3, 4 years' time, Arsenal can win a league title. And it's not good enough for a team like Arsenal. We can't have people like Unai and Edu run this club. They're not competent enough. We see this summer transfer. We got rid of our best goalkeeper, and that's the second thing. When you reward mediocrity, you can't expect excellence in return. What I mean about that, last year, David Luiz was our worst defender. We reward him with a new contract. Martinelli, around Christmas, January, when Aubameyang was suspended, he was our best player. The reward was the bench. Granit Xhaka screams "fuck you" to the fans. the reward is I beg you to stay. You are one of our most important player.
Oh, and he'll get a
So
contract for some point this
yeah,
season.
yeah, he will. So if the players see that, and then whenever I've seen also like whenever like I said he's in goal scoring form, he got benched. So in his head, it's like it don't matter how well I do. Next game, I might even not even get out from the bench. So if we keep on giving players like Mustafi contract renewals, how can we expect the team to move forward when we reward mediocrity? Martinez, who actually can command his box, who actually speak to his defender, instruct them, tell them where to stand, and it's not predictable. That's also one of the things why we are not as good as we are when he was in goal, because with Martinez, he doesn't give a fuck. If he want to go long, he will go long. Even if Arteta have told him you have to just go short, if he feel like it's better to go long, he will go long because he's local. He has that South American personality in him. You can see how he carries around himself. And we need that. We need people with mentality. We need Guendouzi. Listen, I don't rate Guendouzi a lot, but we need him. We need someone who's unpredictable in that center midfield who can take the ball and just drive towards the opposition's box. We don't have it anymore. Nobody does that. I mean, you could see how frustrated Thomas Partey was when we were playing against Leicester. It was like he was begging for people to make runs. You could see he was telling Ceballos and Xhaka to move forward, and they were just standing beside him like two children. I mean, if you really want to play with this stupid idea that whenever the wing backs go forward, your center midfielders has to take the position, why don't you play Maitland-Niles there? Because Maitland-Niles has played wing back, so he knows how to defend. He has played centre mid. He knows, and he can actually move. He's mobile. You need people that can run, and that's another thing. As soon as Maitland-Niles is not playing, it's not making run, it's not open up for Aubameyang, we look so
Yeah,
stiff.
that's the thing that frustrates me because you're spot on with what you're saying about Enzyme and Mars. I feel like that's a resource that is so untapped that if Arteta just thinks about it, because you're right, there were times where I think Partey, who let's be real here, right, is come from a guy in Simeone who's highly disciplined in the way he runs his team. And he's probably thinking to himself, hold on, like, why are people not making natural? There was one time I saw him looking at Granit Xhaka like, what is it you do? Like, why don't you just move?
I know. I bet
And
he's
there was one
thinking,
time where Gabriel even was just before the goal was telling
yeah,
Mustafi, move up, move. There's a space there, move. Mustafi maybe thought, oh, well, I'm the senior in this team. And then 2 seconds later, the goal goes in. And you're just like, bruh, these are two guys who probably come into, just let's be real, because Lille didn't concede a lot of goals last year.
no,
We know that Atletico don't concede a lot of goals generally speaking.
yeah,
So they're two guys that have come from clearly well-drilled sides into this shit show of a side. And and it's just like, this is what makes me think to myself, sometimes when people talk about, I love Turkish, and I'll have Turkish on at some point.
yeah, he's a bad man.
Yeah, me and him have got to kick it again. He's been on the show before, but not for a while. But I'll reach out to him soon and have Turkish on. But see, for me, it's not about signings. First and
No,
foremost, it's about getting rid of the crap we have. And then secondly, it's about having some sort of well-drilled system to say that you're
yeah,
not going to make those mistakes. And this is why, for me, it was a disaster. The likes of Mustafi not leaving, Kolasinac
yeah.
not leaving.
Yeah.
It was a
Oh my
disaster
God.
because now those guys are still there and they're infecting the new signings that we do have.
Yeah.
They're infecting them.
Because there's a thing that Gary Neville said that caused a lot of, well, not anger, but pissed a lot
Yeah,
of
he said
fans off. Because he said that some of the, I think it was about a year ago, he said that Socrates, Luis, and what's his name,
Kolasinac.
were uncoachable. Now that
Yeah.
pissed people off, but I can see where he's coming from.
Mm.
He's obviously on Sky Sports week in, week out. He's probably spent last literally 5 years of his Sky career cussing Arsenal for shit defending, and rightly so. So I can see,
Keep in mind, he coached one of them.
yeah.
So he knows about
Everybody knows that
Mustafi.
somebody's uncoachable or that Mustafi's uncoachable is one of the people that coached him.
Because he's
And
probably,
for me, Chig,
like,
I want to ask you something. Do you understand what it is that Eddie can bring as a central forward that we can't get from Aubameyang? Because he's not a good target.
Bro, don't get me started.
He's not a good dribbler.
Don't get me started. Big up to Lee and Claude in the chat room, by the way, because I could see them roaming in the chat room. For me, don't get me started. It's the Eddie
That's
thing.
why I don't rate. That's why I don't rate Arteta. I mean, if you rate Kolasinac, if you rate Mustafi, if you rate them as footballers,
yeah,
and you don't rate Aubameyang as a centre forward, but you rate Eddie and Nketiah as a centre forward, I'm sorry, I can't rate you as a manager then.
but this is where I'm so conflicted because I'll be honest with you, and Lee knows this. Even though I made that stupid bet with him, Lee knows this, right? I have never rated Eddie Nketiah. Never. Never. I don't think he has it. I was impressed with his debut. I was actually there live with his debut. But then I think a couple of weeks later, he played against Tottenham in the same competition. No, was it the same competition or was it Europa League he played in? It was one of the two. I think it was the same competition he played in. And he was stuck out on the right. And I was like, oh no, this kid does not have it. And again, I was live for that match. And ever since then, I've never been impressed really with Eddie Nketiah. I try not to shit on these youngsters too much because I get that they're young. But I think, and Ben, if he's in the chat room, will verify this. After that game, I realized, oh no, this guy is Welbeck, but a worse finisher. I actually think he's a worse finisher than Welbeck. At least Welbeck on the odd occasion would get at the end of a move, and sometimes he might score. Usually he didn't, but sometimes he might score. I don't really ever see Eddie. Eddie's very good at closing down spaces because I'll give him one thing. That boy can run and run and run. So he gets his goals through closing down spaces, making it awkward for defenders, making it awkward for goalkeepers. But is he the kind of guy that will come at the end of the move and you're relying on Eddie on a one-on-one situation to finish it? Not for me.
No.
This is what worries me because meanwhile, behind him, you have a killer like Martinelli.
Oh my God. I'm still frustrated. You know, after lockdown, Martinelli didn't play 1 minute.
You worry with this manager. Is he the type? And we know he is. I already know the answer to my own question. But is he the type to say, oh, well, Eddie's far along in the process, whatever this fucking process is. He's far further along in the process, so I'm going to continue playing Eddie, and I might give Martinelli 8 minutes here and there, 6 minutes here and there. You know, I can see it happening. I can see that shit happening. And meanwhile, Martinelli's like, he goes from a player who has said stuff like, I'm prepared to stay out my whole career at Arsenal, to next year thinking, fuck this, goes to Barcelona and kills it for Barcelona.
I can see Liverpool come for him because Klopp rates him. He said he's the biggest football talent out there.
Hey, Lee, I might cash out, you know. You never know. I might do.
And he would suit the way Liverpool play.
Yeah? Oh, 100. Oh, do you know what? 100%. I can see him being a Firmino, except a Firmino that finishes.
Yeah, exactly.
I could absolutely See that?
Chig, have you noticed that none of our young player has improved under Arteta? Not even Saka. None has become better.
Bruh, who does he play outside of Saka?
No one. And why don't we play them in the Europa League? And then
Forget
he
him.
complains that players are tired.
Play
You
them.
fool. You play them on Thursday. Why won't they be tired on Sunday? They're not
I've said
machines,
it to
are
you.
they?
I've said it to you before. I don't rate Joe Willock at all. I don't rate him at all. I would much rather see him play, say tomorrow, than Mohamed El Nene.
Yeah.
But I don't rate him. But at least I could see the theory and the process of trying to get a 21-year-old to play, get experience, improve, than a Mohamed El Nene that's just wasting a space. That space could have gone to William Saliba, for fuck's sake. This was what's pissing me off. Oh, because
you
he
never
played well
know.
against MK Dons. So did William Saliba. But you decided that one of them wasn't good enough and one of them was worthy of staying the whole season. Pissing me off.
Because you never know with young players. Nobody could tell me that they saw Alex Song becoming a decent midfielder because he was shit. Alex Song was shit. And then from nowhere, he just exploded and developed it and became a decent midfielder. I know that he got overhyped and went to Barcelona and the rest is history, but for a couple of years, he was doing his thing at Arsenal's midfield. And you never know with young players. I mean, just look at Serge Gnabry. He's probably top 5 wingers in the world right now. Nobody could see that coming. So you never know with young players. It won't hurt
These Europa
to give.
games, right?
Go on.
Yeah, these Europa League games, right? I'm not sounding arrogant here, but like Dundalk, Molde, who do we play? Rapid Vienna. Now, is it be arrogant? Because obviously we're not decent, but come on, we should be. Well, I think we can afford to play some of the youngsters to prove themselves. And if they do,
that's what we did last year, brother.
Yeah. True.
So surely Europa League is the level where the youngsters can play in.
I noticed that was the time Emery was in charge.
Yeah, it was.
Emery used the competition. This is where, for me, Emery will eventually and go down as one of the most perhaps undervalued managers we've ever had at the football club. Because for me, he played that Europa League situation perfectly. He understood that I need my big players for the latter round of this competition. I need my big players for the business end of the season. But I also need my young players, develop them just in case I have an injury situation later on down the line. What better exposure and experience than to send some of your youngsters around some of these hostile places in Europe, some of these places where people, let's just call, you're both black, let's just call a spade, where, pardon the pun, right? Where they've never seen a black person before. They're booing just because you're black.
It's true.
You send these youngsters there, toughen them, develop them. Say people hate you just because of who you are. But I'm sending you here to develop your character, not just your ability, your character. So that come the business end of the season, now you're tougher. Now you're not that little child that started the season. You're a tougher individual as a result of it. Let's be real here. This is what the competition is for. You send them to a club that's never seen a black person before. By the end of that game, they're a lot tougher.
Yeah, of course.
Not because they're a difficult opponent, but because they're played on that stupid 3D pitch. They've had people scream hatred at them. They've done whatever it takes. So by the time you've had 10 of these games, now you're ready for fucking anything come the end of the season. Now you're a fucking fighter come the end of the season. You're not going out to whoever the fuck you went out to in the last 32, Olympiacos, in the last 32, like you did last season. Why? Because you decided to rely on tried, true, and tested. That is his biggest issue.
Of course. And
He's
obviously,
more ready to beg a Mohamed El Nene to stay
yeah,
than to say to Joe, well, come, let's see how we can develop you. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, come, you tell me you're a central midfielder. Come and explain to me how.
yeah. And for me, Chig, I don't understand. Like Joe Willock will never be a number 10. No chance in the world can Joe Willock be a number 10. He doesn't have the technical ability.
He can't pass
He
well
can't
enough.
dribble. He can't pass very enough. He doesn't understand the game. If Joe Willock is playing, it's in a pivot or box to box.
Yes.
That's the only place you can
For the
play him.
simple reason that he's another one that will run for you.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll run all day for you. But you know who else had that? Ramsey.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
people overrate Ramsey's passing ability. It wasn't that
Yeah,
good.
yeah, 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 yeah. It wasn't that
It
good.
wasn't that
But at
good.
least he would try. He would
But
try.
he's one of them guys who, I'll give Ramsey one thing. That kid was very aware of the game. He was a good reader of the game for a midfielder. Subsequently,
Yeah.
he's another one who could
He,
run for you.
for me, he
And
was like a
therefore,
B-Tech Frank Lampard.
yeah. So he's not someone that will necessarily run very fast in any
No,
particular direction. But
no.
as Cesc Fabregas used to say, he had an engine. He could
Yeah,
run all the. You check all them running stats. I guarantee Ramsey's in the top three of them. And I
yeah,
used
yeah.
to be
He's,
Ramsey's biggest hater. I will
yeah.
accept that. I will accept that. That's what Joe Willock could be. But because he doesn't play, and more time than anything, he'd be lucky to make the bench. If he makes the bench, you must be kidding if Arteta puts him in any sort of valuable situation. Tomorrow, I'll be surprised if he starts. He made my preview starting lineup, but
I
I'll be
think
very
now
surprised if he
he
starts.
doesn't have a. He doesn't have a. He has to do it because he's complaining that the players are tired. So he will probably needs to start some of the young players, even though he doesn't want to.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And he's for me. I mean, Arsenal. Really, they need to sack Arteta. Let's just call it this project or experiment that they were trying. It's failed. It's gonna fail. Arteta is not gonna take us into top four this season. He's not gonna do it the season after that. He is not good enough as a manager to take this team to where it needs to be. And that is the truth. And secondly, Arsenal need a footballing person at the top. Someone who will decide that this is the way the club is heading. So we're going to buy this and this player so they can suit into this philosophy. So regardless of who the manager is, we don't need to make a U-turn whenever we change a manager because we don't have a sugar daddy. Because if you look at successful teams, that's how they work. If you look at Liverpool, that's how they work. They bring in certain kind of players that suits the manager. If you look at Dortmund, that's how they do. Leipzig, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, they bring in certain kind of players who can play the way the manager or the club wants to play. Ajax is another one. And that's the model Arsenal needs to approach because we can't buy the best players in the world. We can't. And we won't spend 300 million in a transfer window. We won't. That's the reality. So then we need to make sure that we have the best manager who can make the best out of the squad. And I'm sorry, Arteta is not a manager because he hasn't figured out what his how he wants to play. He doesn't know what he's doing. You can see it. He's panicking. Why would he? Why would he put Granit Xhaka in a position where he needs to defend alone? I mean, what kind of stupid idea is that? You just run at him because he can't move.
The thing is that ever since Wenger left, wow. I'm not gonna cuss Wenger because even whether you're a Wenger in Wenger, I was Wenger out incidentally, but I still respect him for what he's done at the club. He is our most successful manager ever. But even though he left 2 years ago, how the club acts, not just on the pitch but off it, still is Wenger-esque.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
100%.
It is. And without trying to repeat the things that Lee says on the streams, this is because largely the team at its core are Wenger signings.
It's
But
Wenger signing
even above the manager though, and the players.
and it's Wenger people.
The Wenger
All of these people, they love him.
Edu is a Wenger signing.
Yeah, he is. Arteta is a Wenger signing. And that's what I'm saying. That's why we can't see a change. They are lying. There's no culture change or structural change. These fans that are saying that, they are all liars. They're hypocrites. That's what they are. You see, when it start going bad for Arsenal, they are the first one who's gonna start complaining and moaning because that's how they roll. Whenever something is trendy to do, that's the trend that they follow. They don't give a fuck about the club.
I'm glad people are saying that because you sometimes when it's cool to follow a team and support a team, I think people get it confused. If I have a friend and I don't like what they're wearing, and I tell them, bruh, what the fuck are you wearing? It doesn't mean I'm against that friend. It doesn't mean I hate that friend. It means I'm making a comment that I'm hoping what will be worthwhile in the end. They may change their style, they may change something what they do, so that moving forward they don't do it. I run a YouTube channel where I'm very fortunate that I have a little community that hear and listen to some of the shit I say. Subsequently, I will voice my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm against the club. But one thing I will always say with you guys is, I'll be honest with you, I don't do shit that's on trend. If anything, I try and do things that are off trend, if anything. But I will always be honest and say what I see. And I feel like if more people do that, don't pay attention to so-called super fans. I think the term is the most cringy term in the world. What the fuck is a super fan? Why are you better than me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just go with what you honestly think.
Because there are a few things that have to happen, I think, amongst the fans, offline and online. First thing is that this we care #WeCareDU thing, right? That was a huge mistake in ending that. Because where is it now? As soon as we signed Pepe, it ended.
Yeah. It went, didn't it? Same thing. Of a party.
It's not. So are we saying we don't like how Stan Kroenke's been running Arsenal for a decade? But oh no, our record signings, an Ivorian from the French league. Oh, Kroenke's the best. Kroenke's a rude boy now. Come on. Or we get this world class box to box Ghanaian midfielder from what's his name, Atletico. Oh, Kroenke's a rude boy now. Come on, that's stupid. If we hate Kroenke for what he's done at Arsenal over the last decade, there has to be consistent pressure. When I say pressure, I don't mean anything vitriolic or certainly not violent, but like a dialogue that, yo, Mr. Kroenke, you've not done the business at Arsenal. You've facilitated a decade of crap decisions and allowed Wenger, Gazidis, then Raul, now Edu, now Arteta to do silliness too. Are you going to change that? What's your plan in changing that? How are you going to make us be where a club like Arsenal, remember, we are the Arsenal, not even Man United, the biggest club in the country, says the Man United, we are the Arsenal. How is he going to make us where we should be, winning leagues, challenging, winning Champions Leagues? The usual buzz talk every season is, oh, we want to win the Premier League, Champions League. All right, cool. I can say, well, you know what? I want to run 100 meters in 9.5 seconds. Fine. Simply saying it doesn't make it possible, does it? You have to work, you have to train. Simple as that. They cut every season. It's always the same buzz talk. They go on the interview on Arsenal.com and say the usual PR bullshit. Second point, if Arteta's to go, I want a manager like, well, I said Benitez before. The reason I wanted him is because he knows what it's like to manage a big football club. He managed Liverpool, won the Champions League there.
Benitez was my choice as well.
He managed Chelsea, won Europa League. You know, he managed at Valencia. Well, it's a big club, not as big as us or Liverpool, Chelsea. It's still a big club. I think he's the last manager to win the Liga. Actually, no, that's not true. Simeone won the Liga, I think. But even still, he knows English football. He speaks fluent English. And I know he's getting on a bit. I think he's about 60. He still has a few years left in it at a big club. But he has the tactical knowledge, and he can motivate big players and develop players to suit modern football. Because I think what happened towards the end of Wenger, and we're only just trying to address that now, is that Wenger's style obviously was very kind of not very tactical. Wenger specialized more in terms of player development, training, mentality.
Man management. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the game in the
Like
night.
the Guendouzi thing would have never happened under Wenger, for example.
no,
Because in the 1990s, right, when we were good, we had boss level players of elite mentality and physicality, and it wasn't as tactical. So that's why we could slap up Ferguson. And to some extent, that's what, well, not really, football changed over the last 10 years. And I think that's a major reason why, probably the major reason on the pitch, at least, why we got top four. But that's it. Fergie will slap us up. Mourinho will slap us up. Then City came good. Even Spurs started to finish above us. So, you know, Liverpool came good under Klopp. And I think that's why, really, we need a manager who can kind of get that modern or contemporary like methodology of tactical astuteness. Because you mentioned Chig, like Partey at Atletico Madrid. There's Atletico Madrid to me a bit of a boring team, but it's boring but effective because it's structured like fuck. And that's what we, not so much that's what we need to be, but we need to have that like modern discipline, which I think has been lacking for us for years and years. So,
and honestly, it's nicer to win than to play good football and lose, because that's what we did under Wenger. We played good football, but we couldn't execute. We didn't have the mentality or the discipline to do the defensive work. So I agree with you. For me, my choice was Carlo Ancelotti. That's the manager that I wanted, because I felt like he had managed the biggest club in the world. You know, he'd been in Milan, he's won 2 Champions League there, and the league title there, and the Italian Cup there. He went to Spain, managed Real Madrid, won a Champions League with them. You know, he did well at Napoli as well. So for me, he was the perfect manager, and he had managed Chelsea. And I think, did he win the league with Chelsea, or was it the FA Cup? I think he won the league with Chelsea as well. Didn't he, Ancelotti? Yeah. So he's been successful everywhere he had gone. So for me, he was the obvious choice. You know, he could come and take over after Wenger because he knew how to handle these players, you know, and he has the discipline. And the one thing I like with Ancelotti is that he doesn't have a certain style of football. He will look at the squad and he will get the best out of the squad. That's why you see the way he was playing in Milan was different from the way he was playing in Real, and the way he was playing with Real was different from when he was playing in Chelsea, and etc. And that's what we needed, someone who can get the best out of what we have. But instead, we were like, no, let's go for someone who's not even managed under 18. Let's go for him. It's going to be a success. I don't get it. I mean, it's stupid. You wouldn't hire someone to fly a plane who's never been a pilot, would you?
That's basically what we've done. But what I'll say, just because I need to start to get out of here. But let me ask you guys very one simple question. I know you've answered it in very long terms in your answers. It seems like from what I'm hearing, Marbles is not quite Arteta route. You are more or less there, Sire. If you're not there, let me ask you this. I'll start with Marbles. What would Arteta do to make you Arteta route? What would have to happen in the next couple of weeks?
Well, we got Old Trafford. We hardly win there. Well, we haven't won there. What, 2006 is it? That's a long time.
Mm.
But we have what, Leeds, Villa, and I think Spurs. Is it coming up?
Yeah.
I think those are some key games. So if we don't do well in those games, I think, and he makes the same mistakes, then I suppose that could push me over the edge. But my personal benchmark, though, is say Christmas, January. Like, if there's no improvement in game management, which I think is a major issue, and squad team selections, then maybe it's time to call it a day, or at least he's proven that he's not up to the job. But, you know, he has until then, in my book, to improve and rectify stuff. And personally, I don't think we're going to lose to United. I know they're on improved form, but they're still a bit suspect to the back. And you know, the Leipzig result was very good for them, but Leipzig are no dead food team. But I don't know. I think he needs to improve if he wants to keep people on side, really. So yeah, my benchmark around Christmas, January.
Okay. And just as I was about to ask Sayed, who's gone. For me, I think the United victory it'll be interesting to. I think people will get gassed if we beat United, but that won't stop me from hoping that we will. But I agree with you. I think this little period of Leeds, Villa, which won't be easy games, they will be tricky games. And then Spurs is a crucial time for me for Arteta. Let me bring in Syed just to have the last word here. Are you ready, Syed? Let me just see. It says device is not connected. It says not connected, mate. I'm literally about to head out. But yeah, I think for me, that's what would have to happen for me to kind of get back on board with this Arteta thing. But like Syed said earlier, it's not even like I'm always Arsenal in, and if Arsenal decide Arteta, what else can I do? But I will always voice my opinion on what I see, and I'm not seeing anything that's good enough, unfortunately. Syed, it says your guests will need to connect their mic or cam before you can add them to the stream. So I don't know what's going on, mate, but I am literally need to go. So I don't know if you could sort that out in the next 30 seconds or so. But guys who are watching, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. It was a lot longer than I intended it to be. But this is what we do on our member stream. Usually these guys will get me into a subject that I start feeling passionate about, and I have no choice. But please do stick a like on this video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and feel free to join the membership. For now, I'm going to head out of here. Sorry, Syed. I need to get out of here very, very quickly. And yeah, Marbles, thank you for joining me as well.
Yeah, no problem, bro.
And yeah, I'll be back next week with another member stream. All right, guys, we're out of here. Take care.